Hello everyone, my name is Kanishk Singh. Today we are going to begin with a very new segment of question series. We are done with the theory part. Now we will majorly focus on questions. Right, so today's topic is constitutional design. It is chapter 3 of political science, class 9th. First we will focus on very short type answers, very short type questions, and then we will move on to long answer type questions and then further on. So without any delay, let's just get started. So question number 1, who was Nelson Mandela? So answer is he was a nationalist leader of South Africa who fought against racial discrimination. We all know we have studied in a chapter. So this is the answer. Now moving on. Question 2. What would have happened in South Africa if the black majority had decided to take revenge on the whites for all their oppression and exploitation? Yeah, since we know the black consists of more than 80% of the people in South Africa, and uh, very like India, British ruler, invaded. Went first of all, they went to South Africa to do some trade, but then they took the advantage and just started ruling people, right? As we all know, so what would have happened if the 80% of majority would have, used violence against them? So the answer is violence would have erupted in South Africa if they had, decided to take revenge. Violence would have erupted in South Africa. Bloodshed would have taken place. A great loss of life and property would have taken place. I mean, if they have taken this step, this would have been a more devastating than it was, right? So now question number 3, what is meant by segregation? Answer is all the public places like train, buses, school, hospital, beaches, etc. were separate for the whites and blacks. Even the churches were separate. The black people were forbidden from living in white areas. This is called segregation. Basically, it is discrimination on various level, whether it is on churches, on buses, schools, hospital, trains. At every places, black faced discrimination. They were not given equal right as white. So this whole process of discrimination between white and black is what segregation is, right? Now moving on, it's question fourth. Which type of tactics did the white racist government of South Africa use to continue to rule? So we know white rule. What were the tactics? So the answer is the white racist government continued to rule by detaining, torturing, and killing thousands of black colored people. I mean, they used violence. They used to torture people to whatever for the benefit for their own benefit to whatever they wanted. They extracted from them using these cunning process. So question number 5: what is apartheid? Answer is it was a policy of racial segregation under which all people were classified and separated on the basis of race. We all know what segregation is. We have already discussed. So it was a policy of racial segregation under which all people were classified and separated on the basis of race. Many restrictions were imposed on black, who formed more than 80% of the population. We know more than 80% of population were black, and they had to face racial discrimination. Right? Moving on. How many years of life Nelson Mandela spent in jail? 28 years. 28 years of his life Nelson Mandela spent in jail. He was a revolutionary, freedom fighter of South Africa. He is also compared with Gandhi of India, right? Mahatma Gandhi of India. Question 7. When was the new national flag of Republic of South Africa hoisted for the first time? Answer is at the midnight of 26th April 1994. Remember it, right? Now question number 8. Highlight any one similarity between the story of South African struggle for freedom and the Indian national movement. So what was the similarity? I already discussed it, in the previous segment. Both the movements were fighting against the whites of Europe who had come to these countries as a trading companies. They came to trade with different countries, but eventually they started ruling them, right? Question number 9. This is a quote, right? So quote, I have cherished the idea of a democratic free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities, unquote. So who said these words and to which country did he belong? So who said it? Nelson Mandela said it, and we all know he is from South Africa, right? Question number 10. Why is India called a republic? So we will know what republic is. India is called republic because the head of the state, that is the president, is an elected person, and it is not a hereditary position. right? So what a hereditary position is, it is, when a person is not elected, you know he either he's a, son of previous ruler, or whatever he is in relation with other, like in, we see in monarchy, right? When a person is elected, when head of the state is elected in any country, then the country is known as republic, right? So moving on, question number 11. What do you mean by political equality? Very important question. You know, so every citizen is entitled to all the constitutional right and freedom without making distinction of any kind, like gender, race, status, religion, etc. Equal voting rights to all adult citizens of the country, be it rich or poor, with no discrimination, comes under political equality. So first thing, that is equal rights, right? Equal constitutional right. First thing. Second thing is freedom without making any distinction. And both the equality of right and freedom should there should not be any distinction of, you know gender, race, status, religion, etc., right? And the third thing is universal adult franchise, which says equal voting rights to all the people. We have studied in chapter 1, one vote one value, right? One person, one vote, one value, which says that if a person is adult in a if a person is described as adult in any particular country, then he should have equal voting rights. That is what is adult universal adult franchise, right? Moving on, question 12. What is meant by the term preamble? So preamble is an introduction to the constitution which contains the ideals and basic principle of Indian constitution. Basically, it is written at the very start of a constitution, right? It is an introduction of the constitution. It starts, for example, of the preamble of India starts with, we the people of India have solemnly affirmed, which continues further. So it is a very introduction to the, constitution. So, moving on, question number 13. Mention any one feature of a foreign constitution which inspired the constitution makers of Indian constitution. So, what were the feature of foreign constitution? First, practice of parliamentary democracy, as in Britain. You know, Britain, practices parliamentary democracy plus a monarchy. So, monarchy doesn't interfere, but you know, its permission is required, to carry on anything, but basically they do not interfere in, proceedings of the country. Second, bill of rights in the United States. So these two were the feature of foreign constitution which our makers of constitution got inspired from, right? Question number 14. Who was the president of Constituent Assembly? So the president of Constituent Assembly was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So do not confuse Dr. Rajendra Prasad with, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. Bhimrao Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee, and Rajendra Prasad was the president of Constituent Assembly, right? We will learn further about it in the next few slides. What was the main contribution of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel just after the independence? It is also a very important question as far as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is concerned. He played a very important role in integration of the Indian princely state. I mean, he is known as man of unity, right? Not a man of unity. Unity, National Unity Day is celebrated on his birthday. Why so? Because he integrated more than 350 princely states. I mean, they were very small states of Indian country. So as soon as the British, went off, these were the states who were, under the rule of certain kings, rulers. So he went and, persuaded all of them, and they totally, agreed with him, except for the three states: Junagadh, Hyderabad, and Jammu and Kashmir. So Junagadh and Hyderabad also, ultimately they also, signed instrument of accession, right? So basically, he was known for uniting all these princely states. So his this contribution was very prominent uh, from Indian point of view. Now, question number 16. Name any two prominent member of Constituent Assembly. Answer is Rajendra Prasad and Baldev Singh. So Rajendra Prasad was the president, and Baldev Singh was another member of Constituent Assembly. Right. Question number 17. What do we call a state where head of the state is an elected and not a hereditary person? So we, as we have already discussed, republic. because the head of the state, that is the president, is an elected person, and it is not a hereditary position, right? Question number 18. With reference to the Constituent Assembly, answer the following questions. First question. Where were its elections held? Where were its election held? So the answer, when were its election held? I'm very sorry. So the answer is July 1946. Who was the president? Who was the president of Constituent Assembly? So he was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. We already know. Who was appointed the chairman of drafting committee? He was Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. I already told you. When was the Constitution passed by the Constituent Assembly? It was on 26th November 1949. So this is a very confusing date because people get confused this with Republic Day. So our Constitution was signed on 26th November 1949, whereas it came into action on 26th January 1949. So we celebrate National Constitution Day on 26th November 1949, not 1949, on 26th November, whereas we celebrate Republic Day because on that day the constitution which was signed came into action, right, on 26th of January. Moving on, question 19, last question. What is the Constituent Assembly? So we have already discussed members of Constituent Assembly. So what basically was the Constituent Assembly? The answer is the drafting of the document called the Constitution was then by an assembly of elected representative called the Constituent Assembly. So Constituent Assembly basically nothing, collection of member who drafted the constitution, who were given the responsibility of drafting the constitution. So they all collaborated and they were called, they were an assembly of people named the Constituent Assembly, right? So we have discussed the very short answer type question. Now in next segment we will discuss long answer type question. Till then, take care. Goodbye.